Can police conduct a frisk based on reasonable suspicion? To find out, you have to read Terry versus Ohio, a landmark Fourth Amendment case from the United States Supreme Court. But it's 34 pages long. Don't have time for that? I've got you covered. This is TLDR, where I normally cover cases from the New York Court of Appeals, but this is part of a limited series on landmark cases. This is the episode on the case of Terry versus Ohio, published on June 10, 1968. The citation for this case is 392 U.S. 1. The issue in this case is whether a police frisk based upon reasonable suspicion violates the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution. This landmark decision came at the height of the civil rights era, resonating through the halls of justice even today. It's a case that challenges the boundaries of the Fourth Amendment, the right against unreasonable searches and seizures. Before Terry versus Ohio, the Fourth Amendment's protection against unreasonable searches and seizures was interpreted differently. Let's delve into the legal landscape prior to this landmark case to understand the shift that occurred. The Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, part of the Bill of Rights, was designed to safeguard the privacy and security of individuals against arbitrary invasions by government officials. It protected citizens from warrantless searches and seizures requiring law enforcement to obtain a warrant from a neutral judge based on probable cause. However, there was ambiguity around what constituted probable cause, and the extent to which law enforcement could engage in searches and seizures without a warrant. This led to a wide spectrum of interpretations and applications across different jurisdictions. The legal understanding was that without a warrant, any search or seizure was presumed to be unreasonable unless it fell under a few narrowly defined exceptions, but Terry v. Ohio changed this interpretation. Here's what happened. On October 31, 1963, Detective Martin McFadden observed two men, John Terry and Richard Chilton, acting suspiciously. The detective, a seasoned veteran with 39 years on the force, noticed the pair pacing back and forth in front of a store, peering into the store window multiple times. They did this roughly a dozen times, and each time, they would confer. This raised McFadden's suspicions, considering the area was known for shoplifting incidents. McFadden approached the men, identifying himself as a police officer. He then performed a pat-down search on the two men, known as a frisk, for weapons. In the process, he discovered concealed weapons on both Terry and Chilton. They were promptly arrested, but not before a legal question was sparked. Was the frisk a breach of the Fourth Amendment, which protects citizens from unreasonable searches and seizures? The events of that day led to a courtroom and subsequently a significant legal debate that transformed this area of law forever. Following their arrest, Terry and Chilton were tried for the charge of carrying concealed weapons. They were both convicted in a Cleveland, Ohio courtroom. They appealed to the Ohio District Court of Appeals, but the conviction was affirmed. Their unwavering determination led them to the Ohio Supreme Court, which refused to review their case. This conviction sparked a legal battle that reached the United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court ruled in an 8-1 decision that the police can stop and frisk you based on reasonable suspicion and that this is constitutional. The majority opinion, penned by Chief Justice Earl Warren, held that the search undertaken by the officer was reasonable under the Fourth Amendment. The court reasoned that the officer acted on more than a hunch, and his action was prompted by the behavior of Terry and the circumstances at hand. However, Justice Douglas was the lone dissenter. He argued that the ruling blurred the line between an investigatory stop and an arrest, thus giving the police too much discretionary power. Despite the dissenting opinion, the majority's judgment prevailed. This ruling had a significant impact on American law. The Terry versus Ohio decision reshaped the Fourth Amendment's interpretation. By affirming law enforcement's right to stop and frisk individuals based on reasonable suspicion, it established a new standard for police encounters and created a new interaction: the Terry stop. This decision had far-reaching effects, changing how police interact with the public and how the courts interpret the Fourth Amendment. The ruling empowered police officers with the ability to stop and frisk individuals without a warrant, provided they have a reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. This has led to a significant increase in police stops across the United States, sparking a debate about racial profiling and civil rights. Moreover, the decision has influenced numerous subsequent Supreme Court cases, further molding the interpretation of the Fourth Amendment. It has also shaped law enforcement policies nationwide, with many police departments implementing stop-and-frisk policies as a crime prevention strategy. Yet, this decision remains controversial. Critics argue that it has led to racial disparities in policing and has eroded trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. And that's the landmark case of Terry versus Ohio, a decision that continues to influence American law enforcement practices today.
If you like what you just saw and want to see more just like it, please hit like or subscribe to let me know.